Hidden deep in the most unimaginable corners of the Earth lie tribes so mysterious, some believe they're not even from our planet. Their strange rituals, scary lifestyles, unexplainable knowledge, and baffling origins differ completely from everything we know about humanity. Are they an ancient civilization with secrets lost to time? Or is there something otherworldly about their existence? The truth might be more shocking than you think. Join us as we reveal these tribes that appear to be from another planet, leaving scientists and researchers stunned. The Kowai Tribe. Deep in the thick rainforests of Papua, there's a group of people called the Kowai Tribe. They've been living for hundreds of years surrounded by nature, far away from the modern world. The Kowai have a unique way of life that's deeply tied to the forest around them. For most of their history, they stayed on their own and didn't mix with others. In the past, they even practiced cannibalism, which they believed was a way to deal with enemies. The Kowai weren't known to the world until the year 1978. That's when a missionary named Johannes Weidhuizen, with the help of a guide from the nearby Chitak tribe, met them by chance. In the past, the Kowai and the Chitak often had serious conflicts, which sometimes included violent fights, headhunting, and even cannibalism. But these days, the Kowai are famous for something much different, which is their incredible tree houses. The Kowai build their homes high up in trees, usually about 26 to 49 feet off the ground. Some of their houses even reach heights of 148 feet. These amazing structures are made using only natural materials, like tree branches, sago bark, and rattan vines. They don't use nails, hammers, or screws.
One of the most amazing houses you've ever seen?
It's the most amazing house I've ever seen. And put the Sydney Opera House in that included.
Even though the houses look fragile and are built so high, they are sturdy and can last for about 3 to 5 years. The Kowai tribe's tree houses are more than just homes. They offer great protection from insects, wild animals, and even enemies who might try to attack them. Each house has a wooden barrier to keep young kids safe from falling, and a ladder that hangs down for people to climb up and down. The Kowai also measure time based on their houses, as they build a new one every few years. Their way of life is pretty unique and is also divided by age and gender. Men and women live separately, with women caring for the kids until the boys are old enough to join the men. Young boys learn how to hunt quietly in the jungle, and once they've mastered the skill, they can finally join the men's group. Marriage in the tribe has its own special rules. Women marry young, but men marry much later because they need time to gather enough resources for a dowry or to host a big feast. Although the Kowai value peace and community, disagreements do happen. Problems like accusations of witchcraft, theft, or marriage issues sometimes cause conflicts. When things get serious, punishments can be harsh, ranging from being sent away to, in the past, even cannibalism. The Kowai tribe's way of life is a remarkable example of living in harmony with the forest while sticking to age-old traditions. Now that we've looked at life among the jungle treetops, let's discover another amazing tribe that makes their home on the sea. The Mochen Tribe. Now let's talk about the Mochen Tribe, often called Sea Gypsies, because they live most of their lives on the water. The Mochen have been around for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years, floating through the waters of the Mergui archipelago. They spend almost all their time on small boats, known as kabang, and only come to shore during the monsoon season when they set up temporary shelters to stay safe. There's a Mochen legend that explains why they live on the water. It says an ancient queen punished her unfaithful husband, who was Mochen, by making his people live at sea. But for the Mochen today, their life isn't about punishment. It's a lifestyle they've fully embraced. Living on the water has taught them so much about the sea and how to use its resources to survive. The Mochen rely completely on fishing and gathering things they find on the beaches. Over time, they've developed some amazing skills. For example, they catch fish by diving deep into the water without using scuba gear.
Kami sama itu tapaka karimanan kami de anu nganjaga kedampaan kami kok nganjaga di laut.
They've learned to hold their breath for long periods and can even see underwater better than most people. Once they gather fish and other goods from the sea, they trade them with coastal traders for essentials like rice and petrol. This trading is one of the few ways they stay connected to the outside world. The Mochen society is made up of families that travel together in groups of boats, with each group being led by a family head. These families have a strong respect for their ancestors and are often guided by a shaman. The shaman leads special rituals and celebrations to honor the spirit world. Their festivals include offerings, trance dances, and other ceremonies to connect with the spirits they believe protect and guide them on their journeys. The Mochen tribe's unique way of living shows how deeply they are connected to the sea. Their belief in spiritual protection and their bond with the water give them a sense of freedom that few others experience. The sea is not just their home, it's a part of who they are. But there is another tribe, very different from the Mochen, that does not rely on physical strength or spiritual beliefs for their protection. The Assaro Mudmen. Back in Papua New Guinea, there's another tribe with a mysterious and striking presence called the Assaro Mudmen. They are known for their ghostly look and fierce reputation. When they come out of the jungle, they move slowly, like a quiet and steady wave. Their movements are strange and a little unsettling. Covered in grey mud and wearing huge, scary masks, they create an eerie sight that might send chills down your spine, making you wish you were far away from the jungle. The Mudmen were once among the poorest people in Papua New Guinea, but now they're like local celebrities, famous for their unique style and traditions. Unlike many of the 150 tribes on the island, who are as colorful as the birds in the jungle, the Mudmen stand out by doing the opposite. They don't wear bright clothes or flashy decorations. Instead, they cover themselves from head to toe in white clay, moving in slow, single-file lines while carefully watching their surroundings. Some of the Mudmen carry bows and arrows, while others hold spears or clubs. A few even wear bamboo sticks painted red, shaped like long, sharp claws on their fingers. They move so silently that you might mistake them for ghosts gliding through the trees. In many cultures, people use mud for war, but the Mudmen have a different approach which they use to avoid fighting altogether. There are old stories and legends about the Assaro Mudmen, calling them mighty warriors with incredible fighting skills. But their real strength doesn't come from battles, but from how terrifying they look.
The
Mudmen believe that if you can scare your enemies enough, there's no need to fight at all. Their story goes back hundreds of years. The Assaro people were once shy and peaceful, preferring to stay hidden deep in the jungle. One day, though, a much stronger tribe attacked them. Desperate to escape, they fled to the nearby Assaro River. When they got there, they noticed figures covered in white and grey river mud. The attackers saw these muddy figures and thought they were ghostly spirits of the Assaro people. Terrified, the attackers ran away. The Assaro quickly realized they could use this fear to their advantage. They started covering their bodies in mud whenever they needed to scare off enemies. To keep their faces safe from the river water, which was believed to be poisonous, they left them uncovered. But they didn't stop there. They made their faces look even scarier by crafting simple masks from rocks, sticks, and whatever else they could find. Their plan worked. Enemies would run away the moment they saw the Assaro in their ghostly mud-covered form, convinced they were facing powerful spirits. And just like that, the peaceful Assaro became known as fierce warriors, all without having to fight. The next tribe takes living in isolation to a whole new level, going even further than others who stay hidden to keep the peace. The Sentinelles Tribe. The Sentinelles, also called the Sentinelli or the North Sentinel Islanders, are a small indigenous group living on North Sentinel Island in the Bay of Bengal. This island lies in the northeastern part of the Indian Ocean. The Sentinelles are considered a particularly vulnerable tribal group and are recognized as a scheduled tribe by the government of India. They are part of the larger Andamanese community. Like the Great Andamanese, Jarawas, Onge, Shompen, and Nicobarese, the Sentinelles are one of 6 native and often isolated tribes of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They have very little contact with outsiders and are known for being hostile toward those who try to approach or land on their island. Although there were rare reports of friendly interactions in the early 1990s, such events are extremely uncommon. In 1956, the Indian government declared North Sentinel Island a tribal reserve, banning travel within 3 nautical miles, which is about 6 kilometers of the island. Armed patrols constantly monitor the waters around the island to keep outsiders from intruding, and photography is strictly prohibited. It is unclear how many Sentinelese live on the island, with estimates ranging from 35 to 500 people, though most guesses suggest there are between 50 and 200. This isolated tribe gained worldwide attention in 2018 after the tragic death of an American tourist who illegally entered their island. This event highlighted how fiercely the Sentinelese protect their privacy. As one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth, the Sentinelese live on a small island surrounded by shallow reefs. With no natural harbors and its location far from major shipping routes, the island is naturally difficult to access. Indian laws also play a big role in keeping the tribe isolated. But it's not just geography and rules keeping people away. The Sentinelese themselves are known to defend their land aggressively. Over the past 200 years, almost every attempt to approach their island has led to dangerous or even deadly encounters, both for visitors and the Sentinelese people. People know very little about the Sentinelese, like how they live, what they believe, or even what language they speak. Sometimes sailors or crews nearby have spotted bonfires on the beaches at night or heard singing coming from the island. But their language is a complete mystery, and no one from the outside world understands it. Usually, anthropologists try to call indigenous groups by the name they use for themselves. However, since no one has ever spoken with the Sentinelese, even what they call themselves is unknown. The Sentinelese live their lives in secret, showing no real interest in connecting with the rest of the world. They have made it clear, even without words, that they want to be left alone. Their strong sense of independence makes them one of the most mysterious and uncontacted groups on Earth. However, from the little we know about them, we can confirm that the Sentinelese are hunter-gatherers. They use spears, bows, and arrows to hunt animals on land, and they catch seafood like mud crabs and shellfish using very basic methods. It's believed they eat a lot of shellfish, as many roasted shells have been found near their living areas. They don't farm or grow crops. Both men and women wear simple strings made from tree bark, and the men carry small daggers tucked into their belts. They also wear necklaces and headbands, but mostly go without clothes. Their homes are small huts made from poles and leaves, and the roofs are slanted to keep out the rain. Even though the Sentinelese are so isolated, they know the value of metal. They've been seen scavenging metal pieces to make tools and weapons. Back in 1974, they even accepted aluminum pots left behind by the National Geographic Society. While they don't seem to have advanced metalworking skills, they know how to shape metal through simple methods to make things like arrowheads. They also use canoes for fishing in the shallow waters around their island. They move these canoes with long poles instead of paddles, but they rarely use the boats to travel far across the island. Some of their weapons, like arrows and spears, have simple designs carved into them, showing a bit of artistic expression. As fascinating as the Sentinelese are, the next group of people isolate themselves from the world based on religious beliefs, and it's often a choice they make themselves. Let's find out more about them. The Agoris. Some experts think the Agoris came from older Hindu groups like the Kapalikas and Kalamukas, which appeared during the 7th and 8th centuries. These early groups were known for their extreme rituals. They worshipped fierce gods, used intoxicating substances in their spiritual practices, and even performed sacrifices. Over time, these groups changed and eventually became what is now known as the Agori tradition. The person credited with founding the modern Agori path is Baba Kinaram. He is highly respected by Agoris for shaping their beliefs and practices. Baba Kinaram taught that everything in the world, even things people usually see as dirty or impure, is connected to the divine. The Agoris are a unique and mysterious group within Hinduism. They are monks or spiritual seekers, often called sadhus, who follow practices that challenge what most people consider normal or acceptable. Unlike many Hindus, the Agoris take a different approach to spirituality. They question traditional ideas of good and bad, pure and impure, and even life and death. The Agoris are deeply devoted to Shiva, the god of destruction and transformation. They believe that connecting with Shiva can free them from the endless cycle of reincarnation, where souls are born and reborn repeatedly. Through Shiva, they seek moksha, which is ultimate freedom, a state beyond worldly attachments. To reach this state, the Agoris perform rituals that many people find strange, shocking, or even scary. These practices are part of their spiritual journey, and while they may seem unusual to outsiders, they are central to the Agori way of life. What makes the Agoris stand out is their unique rituals, which they believe help them reach spiritual enlightenment. Many Agoris choose to live in cremation grounds, where bodies are burned after death. They see these places as sacred, believing they hold the secrets of life and death. They often cover themselves with ashes from the burned remains, thinking the ashes have a special spiritual energy that helps them connect with higher powers. The Agoris believe everything in the universe comes from the same divine source, so they don't see purity and impurity the way most people do. For them, these are just ideas created by society. As part of their spiritual path, some Agoris even consume tiny amounts of human flesh. While this might seem shocking to others, they see it as a way to challenge their own egos and deepen their connection to something beyond everyday human experiences. To the Agoris, death is not something to fear, but a teacher. They believe these acts give them spiritual strength and understanding. Their practices have always been mysterious since they tend to keep their ways hidden from the rest of the world. While some tribes prefer to avoid outsiders, there's another group known for warmly welcoming visitors. Let's find out more about them next. The Himba Tribe. The Himba are an ethnic group with around 50,000 members living in the northern part of Namibia, specifically in the Kunene region, which was previously called Kaukaland, and across the Kunene River in southern Angola. There are also a few smaller groups of the Overtwa, who the Over-Himba view as part of their tribe, although the Overtwa live as hunter-gatherers. Unlike the Herero people, the Over-Himba are semi-nomadic herders who speak Ochi-Himba, a language that's a variation of Herero and belongs to the Bantu group within the Niger-Congo language family. The Over-Himba are semi-nomadic because they have homes where they grow crops, but they often have to move throughout the year, depending on rainfall and where they can find water. Many consider the Over-Himba to be the last truly nomadic people in Namibia. You might have come across photos of the Himba before, as their unique appearance and customs really stand out. Known for their traditional way of life, Himba women often go bare-chested and wear special jewelry that holds meaning. One of their most distinct customs is covering their skin with a mixture of animal fat and ochre, which gives them a reddish tint. The Himba live in small villages made up of wooden huts, usually arranged in a circle around a sacred ancestral fire. This fire is central to their spirituality, symbolizing their connection to their ancestors. The daily life of the Himba is focused on taking care of livestock, especially cattle, which are vital to their way of life and economy. For a long time, the Himba had little contact with the outside world, living peacefully as cattle herders in the dry, remote lands of northwestern Namibia. Their isolation lasted until the 20th century, when European explorers made their way into the region. Despite this, the Himba have largely kept their traditional ways. In Himba society, polygamy is common, with many men having 2 wives. However, their marriage customs might be surprising to some. When a young Himba girl reaches puberty, her father usually arranges her marriage. For boys, a circumcision ceremony marks their passage into adulthood and readiness for marriage. But for girls, they aren't considered fully grown women until they become mothers. Marriage among the Himba involves a key transaction of cattle, as livestock is their primary wealth. Without cattle, a marriage cannot happen. This exchange is called bride wealth, and the number and quality of the cattle given play an important role in the agreement. Families negotiate the number and condition of the cattle based on their circumstances, as high-quality cattle can influence the deal. The next tribe we'll talk about, however, is found in one of the most unexpected places you would never think to look for long-lost tribes. The Sami tribe. The Sami people are different from many other indigenous groups because they are spread across 4 countries, which are Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. Unlike smaller tribes with just a few hundred members, the Sami population is much larger, with about 80,000 people. Around half of them live in Norway, and about 2,600 still follow the old tradition of herding reindeer. In fact, most of northern Norway is used for reindeer grazing. In the past, the Sami survived by fishing, raising animals, and hunting along the coast and big rivers further inland. But as time passed, many Sami moved to towns in northern Norway or even to Oslo. These days, many still live in traditional Sami regions, but earn a living through modern jobs, such as working in services, industries, travel, or public sector roles. The Sami have a rich culture full of unique traditions. One of their most treasured customs is the joik, a special style of singing that is one of Europe's oldest. A joik is deeply personal and is created for someone, something, or a specific place. The melody is designed to reflect the spirit of what it honors, making it much more than a song but also a way to connect. Another important tradition is the gakti, their traditional clothing. Gakti outfits are often bright and colorful, worn mainly for celebrations or special occasions. The Sami are also famous for their incredible craftsmanship, which is still a big part of their culture today. They make detailed tin embroidery, pearl decorations, and beautiful weavings. They are also skilled in crafting shoelaces, jacket seams, wood carvings, and knives. These skills are passed down from one generation to the next, keeping their traditions alive. Even though they've adapted to modern life in some ways, the Sami continue to proudly hold on to their customs. Their strong connection to their heritage makes them stand out no matter where they are, showing their unique and resilient spirit. The Sami language originally started on the southern side of Lake Onega and Lake Ladoga. From there, it gradually spread outward. When the people who spoke Sami reached what we now call Finland, they met groups who spoke smaller, older languages, known as Paleo-Laplandic languages. These ancient languages eventually disappeared, but they left their mark on the Sami language. As the language continued to spread, it broke into different dialects. The Sami people's location has changed over time too. Starting from the Bronze Age, they lived along the coast of Finnmark and the Kola Peninsula. This period also lines up with the arrival of the Siberian genome in places like Estonia and Finland. It's believed this might have been the time when Finno-Ugric languages were introduced to the region. But the story doesn't end here. Now let's take a trip halfway across the world to explore another fascinating tribe with even stranger customs. The Kubo Tribe. In 1996, the Kubo Tribe, one of the Amazon's last isolated groups, had their first encounter with the outside world. Locally, they are called the Seros, or clubbers, because they used large war clubs for protection and fighting. Sadly, during these early meetings, 7 members of Brazil's National Indian Foundation, also known as FUNAI, were put to death in conflicts with the Kubo. Despite these events, Brazilian authorities decided not to press charges, understanding that the tribe didn't know about national laws. The Kubo, who call themselves the Dlala, speak a Panoan language, similar to the dialects of other Amazonian tribes like the Matis and the Maasais. While some tribes in the Javari River Valley are known for tattooing their faces, the Kubo are different. They stand out because of their unique hairstyle, which is cut short at the back and left longer in the front. Most of the Kubo remain uncontacted, and much of what we know about them comes from a small group living near a FUNAI outpost, where the Ui and Itui rivers meet in Brazil's Javari Valley. The leader of this group is said to be a woman named Maya. She once made headlines after a FUNAI official asked her and her group to return a tarp they had borrowed. Maya, the leader of the Kubo group, reportedly led officials into a trap where other Kubo warriors were waiting. The officials were attacked with clubs during the ambush. One of the warriors, Tavan, later explained their actions, saying, "We didn't know you then," which showed their fear and lack of trust toward outsiders. The Kubo, like some other tribes in the Javari River Valley, have certain traditional practices that can be hard for others to understand. For example, in some cases, they practice infanticide. If a baby is born with a physical defect, like a cleft palate, which is a condition that happens more often due to close family marriages, they may choose to end the child's life. This practice can also include older children under certain conditions. In one instance, Maya made the difficult decision to end the life of her own daughter when the child fell ill with malaria. She feared the illness could spread to the rest of the community. The Kurubo's isolation and commitment to their traditions make them one of the Amazon's most fascinating and complicated tribes. They are caught between preserving their way of life and dealing with the challenges that come from interacting with the modern world. Now, let's shift our focus to another tribe that has captured attention through movies and media for being so disconnected from the outside world. This time, we head to the vast grasslands of Africa. The Maasai Tribe. In East Africa, the Maasai people have an ancient way of life that revolves around their deep bond with cattle. Living mostly in Kenya and Tanzania, they believe that all the cattle in the world were a sacred gift from God, given to them to care for. To the Maasai, cattle are more than just animals. They represent wealth and are key to forming strong family and clan connections. Sharing or trading cattle helps strengthen these bonds, and consuming their milk or meat is considered a sacred act that keeps them close to their creator. For hundreds of years, the Maasai have moved their herds across the Rift Valley, following the seasons. This careful migration allows the land to recover naturally, preventing overgrazing and keeping the environment healthy. Their diet is mostly made up of milk, blood, and meat from their cattle, so they rarely needed to hunt, which meant they had little impact on the local wildlife. In the past, young Maasai men would prove their courage through a rite of passage called alo, where they hunted lions. Male lions were usually the targets, while female lions were respected as symbols of life. However, this tradition has been banned throughout East Africa. Now, the Maasai only hunt a lion if it poses a direct threat to their community or livestock.
Is that another Maasai family, or is that the same?
Yeah, no, the same family.
Same one, yeah.
Yeah, my father lived there.
Yeah?
And I live here and my brother.
You live here with your brothers, yeah.
And my brothers.
The bravery of the Marani, or Maasai warriors, who took part in these rites of passage is still a source of pride for the community. One thing that really sets the Maasai apart is their unique sense of style and how they present themselves. Their traditional clothing, known as the shuka, is a thick, brightly colored cotton blanket. It's often red with blue or black stripes or checks and is wrapped around the body. Interestingly, the shuka only became popular in the 1960s, replacing the animal skin garments they wore before. Now, almost every Maasai wears it, and its bold design has even inspired global fashion trends. The Maasai are also known for their detailed and colorful jewelry. Both men and women wear beaded necklaces and bracelets that showcase vibrant patterns. Their fashion sense has caught the attention of high-end designers from all over the world, making their style iconic. Another famous Maasai tradition is the adamu, or jumping dance, performed mostly by young men. During this ceremony, the men stand in a half circle and chant in rhythm, while each takes a turn, jumping as high as they can. The dance is not only a way to display energy and strength, but also a chance for the young warriors to impress nearby Maasai women. Safari tourists are often fascinated by the adamu, with some even trying to join in, although it's rare for anyone to match the impressive heights the Maasai achieve after years of practice. Next, we turn our attention to another fascinating tribe, although much about them remains a mystery. Here's what we could uncover. The Apatani Tribe. In the stunning Zero Valley of Arunachal Pradesh, India, there's a fascinating tribal community of about 60,000 people known as the Apatani. This group has a vibrant culture and traditions that have been part of their lives for centuries. One of the most striking things about the Apatani women is the large nose plugs they used to wear. This unusual tradition started for a surprising reason. A long time ago, the Apatani women were famous for their beauty, and this led to frequent kidnappings by men from neighboring tribes.
Look what I got for you.
It's
It's all for you.
To protect themselves, village elders came up with a plan. They advised the women to wear large nose plugs and get tattoos on their faces to make them look less appealing to potential abductors. The tattoos, usually dark and done around puberty, along with the nose plugs, became important symbols of Apatani identity. They represented both cultural pride and a form of protection. However, in the 1970s, the government banned these practices, bringing the tradition to an end. Now, only the older women in the tribe still have these tattoos and nose plugs, which serve as a reminder of a past custom that once safeguarded their community. The Apatani are not only known for their distinctive look, but also for their rich and lively culture. They celebrate many festivals and are highly skilled in weaving, as well as crafting with cane and bamboo. Their way of life is deeply connected to nature, and they follow traditional customs and spiritual beliefs to preserve this bond. A key part of Apatani culture is their village council, called the Buliang, which helps keep peace and harmony within the community. The Zero Valley, where the Apatani live, is often admired for its sustainable lifestyle. The Apatani people take only what they need from their environment and give back to the land in return. Their farming methods and communal living reflect a deep respect for nature, showing how people and the environment can live in balance even as times change. The Apatani aren't the only isolated tribe with roots in India. For our final story, we'll explore another group that might be even more secluded than the Apatani. The Brocka Tribe. The Brocka Tribe, living in the Ladakh region of India, stands out for many reasons. Unlike most of the Ladakhi population, who tend to have East Asian features, the Brockas have fair skin, light-colored eyes, and sharp facial features that give them a distinct look. Their origins are wrapped in myths and stories. Some say they are descendants of Alexander the Great's army, while others believe they were the first people to live in the region before the Tibetan migration. Even though modern genetic studies don't support the idea of them being Aryans, the Brockas proudly hold on to these tales, celebrating their unique identity. Their striking appearance and isolated way of life have attracted curious travelers, adding more to the legends about their ancestry. The language they speak, called Brokskat, is quite different from the other languages spoken in Ladakh, and even has some similarities to English in certain ways. Traditionally, the Brockas used to live in caves or small huts made of wood and stone, but now modern buildings are replacing these old-style homes. Their New Year celebration, called Losar, happens on the 1st of January and is full of dancing and festivities that go on for several days. The Brockas also have a special drink made from grapes called chang. Agriculture is at the heart of their way of life. They grow crops like barley, wheat, and millet, and are known for producing excellent apples, apricots, and walnuts. The Brockas take their heritage and traditions very seriously, especially when it comes to keeping their community intact. They prefer to marry within their tribe, as this helps preserve their distinct looks and customs. Marrying outside the tribe is often seen as a risk to their unique identity. Interestingly, the Brockas also practice both polygamy and polyandry, which sets them apart from most other communities. Their diet is another thing that makes them different. They avoid eating certain foods like eggs, milk, and butter. No one is entirely sure why, but it's just another way this remarkable group continues to stand out. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.